welcome back to the Sherwood Urban Farm. In today's video we are going to discuss 7 of the easiest vegetables to grow in winter and in autumn and some into spring in South Africa. Let's dive into it. First vegetable on the list are radishes. Radishes are super easy to grow and they grow so fast. They can be ready to harvest in 3 to 4 weeks. They love the cooler weather though. If there's hot weather, then they are just not pleasant to eat at all. They're just super spicy and really not nice. So to plant your radishes, you can sow them directly. What I like to do is I like to sow them in the greenhouse or in the house, and then I transplant the little guys in about 10 centimeters apart. They are actually also really nice, obviously in salads, but they quite tasty if you put them into a stir fry. Next up is lettuce. Now lettuce is not only easy to grow, but it's also a continuous harvest. You just need to pick off the outer leaves as you need, and they last, when they're fresh like this, they last so long in your fridge, obviously in a packet. And sowing them, I don't actually sow them often. Normally they will self-seed because I'll let them go to seed, and then if they are not self-seeded, then I will go to the nursery and just buy the little plugs. It's just easier, but they are easy to sow from seed as well. And if you can get them in this is a sort of a mottled shade, semi-shady spot, they will really appreciate that. In one of my previous videos I showed you how I sow carrots in these 20-litre buckets. Carrots actually really prefer cooler weather. I mean, if you look at many of the seed packets, then it will tell you can sow them throughout the year, and so you can. But if you want nice, sweet, crisp carrots, the cooler weather is definitely best for it. So I would suggest anything from sowing your seed early autumn, maybe late summer, might be a bit too hot, all the way through. Even now in winter I've sown seed. It does take much longer to germinate, but into spring it's amazing. You can have the most beautiful carrots, so sweet and so crispy and crunchy and whatever. But take a look at my video which I did on sowing carrots in these buckets. It's the same procedures which you would do if you're doing it in ground beds. Our next vegetable on the easy to grow in your back garden list is Swiss chard, which we like to call spinach in South Africa. I've sown, these are, I think they're called bright lights, and so they have got the different colored stems. I'll pick one. See, this one is now yellow, and then there's some red, and then it's like a green and white. They are just so easy to grow. They prefer the cooler weather, like I keep saying. Some of the seed packets also say you can grow them throughout the year, but I beg to disagree on that one. They do like to have sort of mottled shade, so it's a little bit warmer today, so you can see some of the leaves are wilting, but as it cools down later on this afternoon, then they will perk up again. And they also do like a fair amount of water. Most vegetables do, but super easy to grow. You can sow them directly. You can get plugs from the nursery or a tray and sow them like that, or you can sow them into seed trays. What I like to do when I'm doing a lot of them, then I'll just take a tray and then I scatter the seed on the top, lightly cover it, and then once they've germinated, then I pick them out and then I'll put them on into separate trays until they're big enough to go into the garden. Now my fourth easiest vegetable to grow is baby cabbage. I have even successfully grown it throughout the summer. They are just amazing. They do get aphids every now and then, but I spray it off with a hose, or if I'm really energetic, I'll get the neem oil solution and spray that on. Most of the time I just jet it off with the hose, but you plonk them in here. I don't sow them from seed. I'll get the little plugs from the nursery, I stick them in, and then there they go, and they form their little heads. It doesn't really take that long. Okay, so like I said, in winter everything just almost grinds to a complete halt, but in autumn and spring it picks up again. we're almost there. I can't wait. And then within a few weeks, so you've got a little head, I then cut that off and allow it to form another 3, maximum 4 little heads, and then I'll pull the whole thing out, leaving the roots behind. But super easy to grow. In the cooler weather, then I must say, in the cooler weather they are sweeter, because they do release sort of a bitter substance when it is hot, but very easy to grow in your back garden. Now, peas are one of my favorite things to grow in the winter. I wish I could get a summer variety of peas that will tolerate the heat, but the ones that I prefer the most to grow are snap peas, because you can eat the whole thing. If it's a shelling pea, then you can't really eat the shell, unless you don't mind eating something that resembles lucerne. But these are, man, oh, they're crisp, sweet, it's just divine. And I mean, you can see these ones, these are actually home-saved seed, and you can see how nice and tall they're growing, full of little pods everywhere. I actually need to harvest. That's the one ticket though, you do need to harvest regularly so that they will continue to flower. I have sown these ones directly. The previous batch that I had, I did sow in the greenhouse, but I popped them in really quite close to each other, probably about 5 centimeters apart, and here we go. They will give you at least 2 flushes of peas, and so it's really helpful to have a succession sowing. My peas that are on the other side of the garden over there, they are now doing the second flush. Not as prolific as the first flush, but yo, so worth it. Growing your own peas, you can't beat it. Last on my list is actually more of a herb than a vegetable, is coriander, also known as dania. So coriander is actually so easy to grow. You plant your seeds, you can do them in little trays, or you can sow them directly. These ones are transplanted from somewhere else in the garden because they're self-seeded. I like to let them flower. It's nice for the pollinators. And then once they've gone to seed, then I'll save the seed and then roast it and grind it up into the powder so that I can use it in my cooking. The leaves are just divine. Unfortunately, I'm the only one in the house that enjoys the coriander. But they do prefer as well. You won't be able to grow them successfully in hot weather. Even here under the lemon tree, they're doing so well. They like to be in cooler weather. A little bit of partial shade is perfect for them. There you have it. My list of 7 easiest vegetables to grow in your backyard. I hope it inspires you to get out there and start growing your own food, even if it's in containers. Growing your own food, it just empowers you, and it just feels like amazing, just taking a bite out of that wonderfully fresh harvest. If you enjoyed this video, then please like and subscribe and share with your friends, and I will see you in the next video.